Good afternoon, everyone. So today is the first day of our PHP workshop series. This is a student peer mentoring, and today we're going to learn about web development by using the programming language PHP. So today is 24. Sorry about that, guys. Ayan. So today is April 24, Saturday. Ano ba yan, Atcha? Ayan. Okay. And we'll be having our session from 2 until 4:30. So I am Athena Abe, and I will be your student mentor for today. So my name is Athena Abe, but you can call me Atcha or Ate Atcha. I am currently a third-year student taking a degree in Bachelor of Science in Computer Science at St. Paul University, Manila. So we are under the program of College of Business and Management. So our objectives for this session is at the end of the activity, the student or you guys will be able to first identify the requirements for web development, and second, create simple web applications using PHP. But before we begin, guys, I would like to ask a question. What are your expectations for today? Ayan. So let's admit muna sila. Ayan, guys. You can chat or unmute yourselves. Ayan. What are your expectations for today's workshop? Why did you register? What got you interested in joining with us today? Ayan. Anyone, guys? Chat or unmute yourselves. Huwag kayong mahiya, guys. Ayan. Walang maling sagot. Ayan. Okay, may nag-chat. Sabi ni Bradney, to learn new language po. Ayan. So Bradney, do you have any background about other programming languages na? Ayan. How about the others? Ayan, guys. Sabi ni Matthew, gusto ko pong matutunan PHP. Ayan. How about the others? Ayan. Who else, guys? Ayan. Sabi ni Bradley, opo, pero basic lang po alam ko. Ayan. It's okay. Ayan. Okay. How about from the girls, guys? Hello? What are your expectations for today, or why did you chose to join our session? Ayan, what made you interested? Anyone, guys? Ayan. Hello, hello, hello. Kanina nakita ko si Lian, very active. Hello, Lian. So, what are your expectations for today's session? Yan, nagtatawag si Ate Atcha. Ayan. Hello? Hello, hello. You can chat, guys. Ayan. So, may paparating pa. Okay. Hello, guys? Mukhang nahihiya sila. Okay. Just chat lang kayo, guys, if you have any concerns, okay? So, ayan. So, don't worry kasi we will be learning the fundamentals or the basics about web development and PHP. This is not, we won't go very, very technical, but you will learn a lot and this will really be helpful for you whether you pursue CSIT. Ayan. So, we will be learning about web development and to create a web app. Yes, guys, we will create a web app using PHP. Okay. So first, let us identify or define what is web development. So guys, web development is different from web design. Web development is the creation of dynamic web applications. So the web development examples that we are using are ayan, mga Facebook, that is accessible in the browser using the internet. So anything that is web-based, that is created on the web, is considered web application, and it is made through web development. So there are two divisions of web development. We have front end and back end. The front end development focuses on the UI or user interface. So when we say user interface, it is the visual representation of your web application. And the UI also focuses on the aesthetics or how it is presented or displayed on the browser. And back-end development, this this focuses more on the server side, or in easier terms, this focuses the data handling or the information processing of the application. So there are two divisions. We have front end and back end. And both are needed in order to create a web application. But it goes hand in hand, and I will explain it later further. So, ayan siya. And there are three things that we need to learn. The fundamental technologies or languages that we need to learn in being able to create or develop a web application. So we have HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. We have CSS, the Cascading Style Sheet, and JavaScript, which is to add functionality. But today, we will be learning about, in the following sessions, we will be learning about PHP, which is also what you can use to add functionality to your web application. Ayan, guys. Okay, and another thing is web design. So ano naman ang web design? So from the word itself, design, it focuses on the aesthetic or the visual appeal of your web application. So of course, it has to be beautiful, it has to be simple, it has to be easy, madali siyang, you can easily navigate through your web application. It is easy to understand, and kahit sino, it is accessible to anyone. So there are two kinds or two types of web design. We have static websites or web designs. These are easy to develop to design. Creating web apps in a static type, it is much easier, when especially if you're going to do freelancing for web development or you have clients. It will be cheaper because it is fixed. So what does static website mean? So the examples of a static website, we have those web pages, those information giving web pages that don't need any interaction from the end user or from the viewer. So for example, you're going to create a web application about a story. For example, Wattpad, pero wala siyang interaction. You doesn't have interaction from the user in such a way na hindi ka pwede mag-comment, or you cannot create an account. Kung wari gagawa ka ng Wattpad inspired, pero naka-display lang yung mga stories. So that is an example. And a dynamic, so this is the complete opposite. A dynamic web design is a bit complex. It is more costly, and it is editable. So pag static, what you see is what you get. However, in a dynamic web design, it is more complex because it involves a lot of back end. So again, from what I have shown you guys, there are two divisions. We have front end and back end, and front end is applicable sa static, where in dynamic, it needs both front end and back end development. So what does that mean, Ate Atcha? So a dynamic web design is more complex because it involves data processing or database handling. So for example, again, Wattpad, diba, you can create accounts. And in order to create account, a user has to give information or input data, input their username, password. So yung mga information na nilalagay ni user para maka-create ng account, it is being processed at the back end or dun sa database. So it is costly kasi yun nga, it has a lot of processes to be considered. Kunwari, other examples is yung madalas natin ginagamit, Shopee, Lazada, Grab, Foodpanda, di ba? It involves a lot of processing, yung mga order, and it goes more complex pagdating sa development side. And ang maganda sa dynamic, it is editable, especially when you publish it on the browser. You can easily, di ba, may mga versions, makikita natin sa baba, So what you call yung pinakababa ng web page is a footer. So dun sa footer makikita mo mga, kung all rights reserved, ganyan, makikita mo kung kailan siya in-establish or ginawa, dinevelop. Makikita mo din doon, sometimes they put versions. So that's an example. A dynamic web design can be editable. Comparing it to static, yun na siya, hindi mo na siya mababago once you publish it. You can edit a static web page kung i-republish mo siya ulit. So, ayun siya. And another important thing about web design, it has to be accessible. What does that mean? So when you're going to create a web application, it can be accessible to all types of people, whether blind, deaf, etc., in order to give them equal access. However, Ate Atcha, paano yan? Ang hirap naman nun. Kailangan gagawa kami ng web application na pwede sa kahit sino. This is an example, or this is something you can do, especially kapag once you practice your skills in web development. So for now, this goes hand in hand kasi 'di ba, we create web pages for different kinds of people, or what we call target users. So your web app depends on the target users. But if you want to create a web application or a web design na it can be used by anyone, which is really good, it has to be accessible. Ayan. And with the different technologies and devices that we are using today, your web design or your web application needs to be responsive. It needs to be scalable on different kinds of devices. So kapag gumawa ka ng web app mo, dapat kaya nasa scale siya or nare-resize siya on different kinds of devices, whether it may be on laptop, tablet, mobile phone. So ayan siya. So going back, the technologies, so we call these technologies in the industry. So kapag tinanong ka, ano yung technology na alam mo? So today we're going to learn about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So again, the HTML, so to further understand kung bakit kailangan tong mga to, the HTML or hypertext markup language will be the skeleton or the foundation of your web application. So this supports yung mga needed sa yung web application. The CSS, on the other hand, it is like a skin. Ayan yung mga hair. So this CSS or the cascading style sheet gives it gives design. Dito ma-apply yung web design. It gives more appeal to the web application. So it brings it to life, I would say. And para mas maging to give it more life, of course, we need functionality. So one of the common languages na we have to learn is JavaScript, but today we're going to learn in the following sessions about PHP. So there are many programming languages na you can use as functionality for your web app aside from JavaScript and PHP. Ayan. Okay. So before we started our session, I emailed you guys and messaged you sa ating group chat. So kung wala pa kayo sa group chat, please message me on Messenger, or if you know someone na kung nasa GC na kayo, please add the other students or participants with us today. So ayan siya. So what we need is Wamp Server. So Wamp stands for Windows, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So a Wamp server, guys, so I will talk about that later. This is what we'll be using. Second is our text editor. So there are different kinds of text editor when you do programming. We have the default one, Notepad. Although meron tayong gagamitin ngayon na Notepad++. At Atcha, ano pinagkaiba ng Notepad++ sa Notepad? So Notepad++ is more useful and mas efficient ka makapag-code kasi there are it identifies yung mga different file extensions. So pag gumawa ako ng PHP file or HTML file, alam niya na nade-detect niya yung mga codes mo. So nakikita niya kung alin dito yung CSS or gano'n, alin dito yung properties. So may kulay siya, in short. Mas madali makikita yung error. And meron din tayong mga different text editors like Sublime or VS Code. So ito na talaga yung mga, if you're going to pursue computer science or IT, and if you want to be a programmer or a developer, ayan, these are the different text editors. So currently, I am using Notepad++ and VS Code. Ayan siya. And number 3 is concept. So today we're going to conceptualize. Ano ba yung pwede natin gawing application or i-develop natin? So we're going to try yung mga common na need in a web app is yung login and registration form. So we're going to create a login and registration form user interface today. And the output at the end of the session, so this is 3 sessions every Saturday. So we're going to have a challenge. So I'm going to teach you the fundamentals and you will be the one to integrate yung inyong creativity, logic, yung UX, UI. So UX and UI are 2 different things. UX is user experience and UI yung I have what I have mentioned yung user interface. Yun yung visual representation. User experience, this simply describes yung how easy it is to use yung inyong mga de-develop na web app, which is yung login and registration. And of course, to create yung mismong web app na login and registration form. Okay pa ba kayo, guys? Ayan. Tignan muna natin, kamustahin muna natin. So far, guys, how are you feeling? Ayan. Kung nakikita yung cursor ko, ayan. Hello, hello, hello. Kaya pa ba? Ready na ba? Excited na ba? Hindi ko nakikita yung chat. Saan na yun? Ayan. Ayan, may nag-chat. Sabi ni... Sino ba to si Cashew Nut? Ayan, can you please change your name? Ayan. Sabi niya, yes. Thank you. Okay. So, bago tayo mag-program, sabi ni Alexandra, pwede po ba gamitin Visual Basic sa pag-code? Yes, pwede. Ayan. So alam ko excited na kayo guys mag-code. Pero of course, when we learn a programming language or when we learn a new concept, we have to first learn kung bakit ba natin siya ginagamit and yung purpose niya and the history of course. So PHP, so today we will be using one of the resources na ginagamit namin sa college in both CS and IT is w3schools.com. So we also have other references or resources such as ayan, mga common, Stack Overflow, mga YouTubers, mga Indian YouTubers, yan pag, di ba, pag-programming, and Microsoft. So yun yung currently mga resources namin. So PHP, according to w3schools.com, is a hypertext processor. It stands for Hypertext Preprocessor. Ayan. Ate Atcha, bakit PHP pero HPP? Ayun guys, di ko din alam. Pero yan ang meaning niyan. Hypertext Preprocessor. Ayan. PHP is a widely used open source scripting language. So, ibig sabihin, PHP is a free source, open source. So, anyone can use it. And the scripts are executed on the server. So, ang web server na gagamitin natin is Wamp Server. Ayan. Para makita natin yung ating output. And a PHP is very powerful. Bakit? Kasi it is powerful enough to be at the core of the biggest blogging system on the web, tulad ng WordPress. Ayan, if you're familiar with WordPress, you can create develop application in a WordPress, mga e-commerce sites tulad ng Shopify. It is really big, guys, in the industry. And when you become a web developer, it is one of the in-demand jobs right now. Ayan. And it is deep enough to run the largest social network like Facebook. So guys, review tayo ng konti. I have a question. Is Facebook is Facebook A, front end, B, back end, or C, front end and back end? So that's my question. What do you think? Is Facebook developed using the following? A, front end, B, back end, or C, front end and back end? Ayan, so makikita natin dito, sabi ni Alexander C, ni Cashew Nut C, ayan, please change your name, hindi kita ma-recognize. Si Randall C, Ian C, Miguel C, Jermaine C, and Brady C, very good guys. So, yes, we need front end and back end to create a social network tulad ng Facebook. And it is also easy enough to be a beginner's first server-side language. Kung tatanungin nyo kami guys, PHP ang isa sa mga pinakamadaling aralin, and it is a good advantage sa inyo right now, senior high school pa lang kayo, to know PHP. Kasi why? Kasi even if you're studying, you can be a web developer. You can do freelancing by just learning ito ang matututunan natin sa session. So ayan, pwede kayo magkaroon ng client and create web applications. So ayan siya. And what else? What can PHP do pa? So it can generate dynamic page content. So pwedeng static, pwedeng dynamic, but PHP focuses on the functionality. So it needs a lot. It is more lenient sa back-end development. So pag sinabing back-end, to further define it, back-end development languages like PHP can create, open, read, write, delete, and close files on the server. So for example, gusto ni user na i-delete yung account niya, mangyayari yon because of PHP, because of using the programming language PHP. It can collect form data. So dito gagamit tayo ng database. Ayan. And it can send and receive cookies, can add, delete, modify data in your database, can be used to control user access, and can encrypt data. Encryption means, simply put, it can safekeep your data. So once you inputted your password, pag tinignan mo yung data mo sa pag tinignan, kunwari, if the admin, a database admin, pag tinignan niyo yung database, hindi nila makikita yung password mo. It is encrypted. It is coded into different text and symbols na only ikaw lang makakaalam what your password means. So, yan yung encryption. Automatically, naka-encrypt siya. So, matututunan din natin yan. Ayan. Okay. So, yung mga applications na gagamitin natin is Notepad++. So, dun sa need ng storage, you can use Notepad if di kaya. So, ang kailangan talaga natin is Wamp Server. Ayan, Wamp Server, tsaka yung VS C++. So, ayan. What is Notepad? So, ayan, I've mentioned, guys, ang daming definition dito. But, it's a text editor. Now, where we will put our codes in. Ayan. So, a Wamp server, ito yung mga commonly na ginagamit. It's a Windows-based web development environment. It is a software bundle na ginagamit talaga for web dev and internal testing. So, kung wari, ang Wamp server ay usually ginagamit kapag gumagawa ka ng mga project applications and dito mo muna tinitest bago mo siya i-deploy, bago mo siya i-publish. And it can be used to serve live websites. Ayan. So, nag-host, somehow nag-ano din siya, nag-host. Pero, ayan siya. And, ayan, Apache. So, W is Windows. So, meron ba tayo dito mga Mac users? Ayan. Or lahat tayo ay Windows. So, chat nyo guys if Windows or Mac user kayo. Ayan. Is everyone using Windows? Ayan. Windows. Okay, thank you guys. Sino pa? Windows. Ayan. So, ayan guys. How about the others? Ayan, ang dami natin dito right now. So, Windows. W na lang nilagay niya. Ayan. Thank you guys. So, okay. So, that's good. Everyone is using Windows. So, ayan. Kasi, if you're using Mac, so we have classmates na gumagamit ng, yung device nila is, yung OS nila is Mac. So, an alternative is XAMPP. XAMPP. Yun naman yung alternative sa mga Mac. Ano siya. Ayan. Okay. And ito yung magiging output natin today. So, ayan. Ito yung sample output video. Gagawa tayo ng login and registration form user interface muna. Ayan. So, kung titignan nyo, di ba parang ang simple-simple lang yan. Pero ayan. Kung ma-observe nyo, gagawa tayo ng two forms. One is the registration form and one is the login form. And paano Ate Atcha kung bigla ko napindot yung register pero di pa ako nakapag-register? So magdadagdag tayo dito ng already a member sign in, ay kung pag naka-register na, and vice versa kapag naka-login na. So let's check, himay-himayin natin yung itsura ng user interface natin. So this is a simple UI. So meron tayo ditong header na nakalagay register. And meron tayong mga fields. We have username, email, password and confirm password. And we will be also creating a register button. So, kung wari, yun nga yung concern. Paano kung naka-sign in ka na, kung wari? So, maglalagay tayo ng option kay user ng link para mag-sign in siya. So, ayan. Gagawa tayo ng second form, login, with the 2 fields. So, syempre, of course, pag naka-register ka na, meron ka ng username and password. So, yun na lang yung kailangan i-input and login button. And kung nga, Ate Atcha, paano si user napindot niya yung login pero di pa siya naka-register? So, gagawa tayo ng not yet a member and then ibabalik natin siya dun sa registration form. Ayan. So, ayun siya. Are you ready, guys? Ayan. Ready na ba kayo?